Good. Well, good evening and welcome to our June 17, 2025 Angels Camp City Council meeting. Before I begin the meeting, I want to remind all of those present and online that we will have a public hearing. And I just want to talk a little bit about the process of the public hearing. When that item is presented, I will ask staff to make a report. Then that will come back to council for any questions. After council asks staff questions and that dialogue occurs, we will then open it up to the public for any comments to be made. And once that period of time ends, we will then bring it back and ask the council to take some action. And please remember that if you have a comment to make, please make it during the public hearing part. So because I cannot recognize you once we close the public hearing. So with that said, I would like to call this meeting to order and roll call. Rose.
Mayor Chimente.
Present.
Vice Mayor Serrato.
Present.
Councilmember Broglio.
Present.
Councilmember Behill.
Here.
Councilmember Moncada will not be in attendance and staff is present.
Thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Report out of closed session. No action was taken. Direction was given to staff on item A and B, and we will be returning to closed session after our regular agenda is completed. So moving on to item 6, presentations. Is that going to be online, Rose?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to receive a quarterly California Department of Transportation update.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor and council members, you've been asking for quarterly updates, and we've got a lot of projects going on with Caltrans.
Oh, you're doing it.
I am not. I'm
Whoa.
going to introduce our
Okay.
Caltrans presenter.
I'm talking my call.
Yes, in my spare time.
Okay.
I like
All right.
Caltrans.
Thank you.
And it's Hakikat Calaveras, I believe, whose name I've just slaughtered. And hopefully you can hear me, and I'm going to turn it over to you to go ahead and get presenting. Are you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Hold on one
Hold
second.
on, we're gonna
and let
adjust
me
you.
just switch over my speakers. Okay, try now.
All right, testing 1, 2, 3.
Great.
Okay.
All right, my name is Hakikat Calaveras. I am a senior engineer with Caltrans. Today I will be giving a presentation about project 1H700 and 1H010. These are the two projects on State Route 49 or Main Street. Moving on to the second page. So these, first we're going to talk about the project 1H700. It is on State Route 49 and with post mile, begin post mile at 7.4 and end post mile at 9.5. So beginning from Brett Street, I believe, and then ending at close to Plains, actually to Plains.
It's doing what it was doing last time, huh?
And that's for 1H700. Next slide, please. So the need for this project was to repair some of the non-compliant EDA infrastructure, as well as to build the incomplete bike as well as a pedestrian network. To reduce some traffic on State Route 49, increase pedestrian safety, as well as to improve signage on the State Route 49. And the scope of work, Caltrans will reconstruct some of the existing sidewalk, curb ramps, and driveways with landscape buffer, as well as we will construct new sidewalks, curb ramps with landscape buffer. We will also upgrade the existing crosswalks, replace the road signs, stripe bike lanes, And now we have also secured some additional funding to incorporate the complete streets elements within this scope of work. And next slide, you guys will see what kind of additional complete street elements I'm talking about. So next slide, this is Utica Park improvements. So we will widen the shoulder on the Brett Hart School, near the Brett Hart School, to provide additional bike lane as well as on-street parking. There will be additional, there will be new, and we will install new street lighting, and as well as we will have new plants as well as irrigation for the plants. We will construct a new sidewalk, and this additional work will cost about $1.3 million, which is secured from the Complete Street Preservation Fund.
So that's the sidewalk that's going
Now, next slide, this will show you the type of plants that will be planted within the landscape buffer. So we got rosebud, we got Chinese pistache as a prospector or elm, and rock rose, new gold lantana, and deer grass. So these are the trees and shrubs that we will be planting in the landscape buffer, and it will be throughout the State Route 49. You guys will see in a brief animation all these improvements. Next slide, please. We're now talking about the funding and schedule, which a lot of folks like to hear about it. So we have currently awarded this project to George Reed for $7 million. We are expecting the contract approval within this month or sometime, or within this month, that's what I heard. But for a brief, is summer of 2025. We anticipate that construction will begin early fall of 2025 this year, and we have 200 working days for this project. So this is a brief. This is everything about this 1H 700 project.
Can we ask
Now
questions
moving
along the way?
on.
Can we ask questions along the way?
Sure, but I have I do have animation which will clear up things, but yeah, you guys can go ahead if you want to ask me
Well, my
something.
question was about construction days and the timing of that, just because fall is the beginning of school and that's right in front of the school. So I just wanted to just get some clarification on the hours, do you know, on anything like that, or we wouldn't know yet?
We don't know yet, and we can definitely look into that.
Okay.
And the second one is 1H010. This is an intersection improvement project, and we'll be doing intersection improvement at 2 locations. One is at the junction of State Route 4 and State Route 49, and we will do another roundabout or intersection improvement at State Route 49 and Francis Street intersection. So these are the two intersection improvements. Now moving on to the next slide, the need for these. First of all, these are the 2 locations, by the way. I'm pretty sure you guys know your city more than I do. And the need for this project was to reduce the traffic congestion as well as frequent traffic delays. It was to improve the traffic circulation along the State Route 49 and have improved facilities to accommodate the accommodate pedestrians, basically building sidewalks and bike lane traffic with bike lanes. And scope of this project, or scope of work for these 2 projects will construct a hybrid roundabout on State Route 4 and State Route 49 intersection, and we will construct a single lane roundabout at State Route 4 and Francis Street. These roundabouts will have raised median between 2 intersections, as well as we will incorporate the complete street elements for pedestrians and for bicyclists. And we will reconstruct the sidewalks and driveways on the for these roundabouts as well. Now, moving on to the next slide, which will show you what kind of a hybrid State Route 49 and State Route 4 intersection is. Don't be intimidated by this design. It's basically a circle, in the inner circle will have a continuous traffic flow, and we will have one lane which will have either right lane or left lane. In a brief moment, when you guys see the animation, it will be a little bit more clear, but that's the basically gist of it. Yeah, I'll take the questions later on if you guys have any questions regarding the design. And moving on to the next slide, single lane roundabout, it's pretty evident, so we'll have just one lane from each street and one lane in the middle of the roundabout, so that's basically what's going around in the roundabout and traffic and exit from that single lane. So that's, and now moving on to the next slide, which is funding and schedule. So these two projects, they have a total construction capital of $16.5 million. We will have RDL already to list by May 2026, which is next fiscal year. And we did have a public hearing in March 2022 and March 2024. And in future, we do intend to have another public hearing in October of 2025. We will also be, I believe we will also be able to do a full-scale mock-up in fairgrounds if possible. So you guys can get a real feeling about it. And then award is in December of 2026. So that's, we didn't put any working days yet because we are still in our second phase, PSNE phase, which is specifications and estimates phase. Now, the last part, which will clear up a lot of stuff, is the simulation that we did. It's a YouTube video. It's about a 6-minute video. If someone can play it over there, I don't have the ability to play from my side.
It's playing right now. You just
All
realize
right,
share
there's-
the screen.
Yeah, no worries. It's I can see it on the
Okay.
TVs.
Okay.
So this is starting from the post mile 7.4, beginning of post mile.
Yeah, that's the part.
See, they're gonna gutite those walls. Bike lane.
The additional parking still there along the park, which is nice.
This is already done.
Oh, I like those crosswalks.
That's a hawk.
Look at your museums.
There it goes.
Oh, nice.
So all these planters now will get landscaped. They've
Landscape.
been sitting
Perfect.
for years.
Going up to the bank. I think he's speeding, Scott.
And in between, they will show the hybrid roundabout. So just
Oh, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, because it's got the bump out.
Yeah.
They do put it in front of the Alta one post office.
Thinking about the bus stop.
There it is.
See? Jeez.
Nice to see all those pedestrians using the sidewalk.
That's gonna be, oh, that's gonna be pretty.
Okay, so that's the first roundabout, what I was talking about, inner circle, as well as dedicated turn signals on the turn lanes on one of the dedicated turn lanes.
Left turn that dog down.
Right.
Merge is back.
Notice they leave that left-hand turn pocket into the shopping center.
Mhm.
So is Francis where Foundry Lane's gonna pop out?
Clifton. I knew somebody in this town, Clifton.
You do. Here's your second roundabout.
I don't know,
So
I
the same-
thought it was going,
I thought it was going farther,
I thought it was going farther, but yeah, me too.
but this is where it's coming out.
It ends right in Middleton there.
Amy, is Foundry Lane supposed to connect at Francis? Is that what
No,
that's?
it comes out way up closer to Capello,
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
So
near
why,
CDK.
Where CDK's at.
so why are we doing a roundabout at Francis?
Because people coming out of Dogtown Road are
In order
forced
to go
They're-
south.
they're
They
going
have to
make a
go,
right
they
hand.
have to go
They
down to
turn.
Francis to turn around and head back to decide where they're going, and big trucks can make that turn at Francis.
You want to go to Sonora from Dogtown.
Yeah,
Wow.
because right now you take your life in your hands and you make a left-hand turn out of Dogtown.
If you get out.
If you can get out.
Oh, you can do it.
You can't get it done.
You just gotta go.
Yeah, those of us who dropped Tony Tyler off at home, we know that.
And what is his, what is?
They're going back.
They're going back.
down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically showing you before and after.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can see that. You can see like crosswalks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't see the bump out for that. Oh, there it is.
There it is. There's your bump out for.
Is that our fire engine?
Hmm.
No, it's a lumber truck.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, people just got back out. Good.
No, the people go to the museum.
There you go.
Oh, that's gonna
See,
be better, the
that
bump
crosswalk is
outs.
much better.
That is a lot
Because
better.
it brings people closer to the road when you
Yeah,
can see them.
you can see them. How about downtown? Well, see, we'll see.
Well, it ends
all
at
that
the
far.
park.
Oh, it ended at the park.
Yeah.
Look at the curve.
And notice the guardrail changes.
Yeah.
The guardrail changes are nice.
And
They
then
tie
the
into the
And
stairs.
Here's
Here's
ties
into
into
our
the stairs.
stairs.
And
And
right
that
it
goes
ends in
bump
Red
outs
Heart.
too for that crosswalk, which is great.
It's very nice.
That's about it. I hope those clear some of the questions that you had. But next slide is question and answers. I will try to do my best at it.
So, Dogtown will be right-hand turn only once the roundabouts go in, and coming out of the shopping center will be right turn only, no more left turn. Is that correct?
Now, which roundabout are you talking about,
The
sir?
one at the corner of 4 and 49. Okay, so Dogtown Road will only be right-hand turn only, correct? Coming out of Dogtown, that's why we need a roundabout at Francis,
Yeah.
correct?
It's going to be, yes.
Okay, and coming out of the shopping center now, because the roundabout will be on 4 and 49, people who want to go back to San Andreas will make a right-hand turn, go through the roundabout, and then go to San Andreas that way, and not try to make that left-hand turn coming out of that shopping center. Is that gonna also,
Everybody's going to take a right turn
Okay.
coming out of the shopping center, and then they will go around the roundabout and we'll go back.
okay, perfect. And then the other time, when Corey made the presentation, I asked about pedestrians crossing. That's a fairly busy intersection. pedestrians, they'll be, I know the traffic will be moving slower, but is there going to be any kind of awareness of the cars as pedestrians are trying to cross in a roundabout?
I believe these can be brought up during the public hearing, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a light up for pedestrian crosswalks to but we will define this in a PSNE phase. In PAE phase, we don't take care of these issues.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are some pedestrian controls, and it's not just going to be crosswalks where cars are going to predict that there is a pedestrian there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some lighting.
Okay. Council, have any other questions? Alvin?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm excited to get the landscaping done, and I think it's going to look really great. And I thank you, Caltrans, for all this. I think it'll really spruce up and make the city look better, and walking, biking, the whole 9 yards. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for doing this presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Moving on to item 7, approval of the agenda as posted. Pam, any amendments?
There are no amendments. There are no amendments, sir.
Hearing no amendments or changes, is there a motion to approve?
So
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill,
Aye.
Sharado,
Aye.
Shemente,
Aye.
Broglio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8, public comment. The public may address the council on any item of public interest not otherwise on the agenda that is within the jurisdiction of the city. No action may be taken. Matters to be addressed may be referred to city staff or placed on a subsequent meeting agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes per person. Is there anyone present who would please step up to the mic, state your name?
Good evening, Martin Huberty, your Executive Director of the Angels Camp Museum. We love being at the museum. It's a fantastic experience for all of us. We did this coming out of COVID thinking, let's try it for 6 months. We do need to renew our contract next month. It will have been 5 years.
Wow.
Which seems impossible. Going into this, I had 2 goals. One was to run the museum like a business and be less dependent on the city. And actually that was made very easy by the fact when we did the contract, we got to keep the admissions in-house. And every year since we've been there, our goal is always to make $70,000, and we've always, in admissions, we've always surpassed that. And hopefully this year we'll be around $72,000, which enables one thing, and that was my second goal, is to be open 7 days a week. It makes a big difference for the Visitors Bureau, but it also makes a huge difference for the museum. We stick to our hours, so people know that we're always there and we're always open, which is fantastic. Again, ACPA is with us this summer, which is fantastic. It seems it's going to be another great year. I have been working on some bigger ticket items at the museum, which I'll let you know now is I'm trying to upgrade the alarm system. And I'm also working on the pole barn to install big, huge attic fans. We have to shut that building down, especially days like today where it's 90, it'll be 100 in that building. We've actually purchased, Jeremy gave us a huge swamp cooler, a brand new one, several years ago, and then we bought another one. And it works for a good couple hours, and then it gets to be like a steam sauna in there, and it just needs to vent. So hopefully we'll get that done ASAP. We're also working on moving that house. I do have another house mover out of the Bay Area that we're looking at right now, hopefully to get that project accomplished. But the main reason for me coming tonight is to talk about Noah Burner. At the moment, we do have 4 part-time museum employees. All the CVB employees, including myself, work for the museum as a volunteer. But we have a unique opportunity to keep Noah Burner. I originally brought him on because we got a grant from Miss Betty Weeder, and we used that grant to bring Noah on board. One of the really key things that's missing at the museum is a proper catalog and inventory of all the items. It's been started 3 times that I can see. It's never been complete. So that was the big idea, was to bring Noah on to get him to do this cataloging. It's all being done online with a new program called Catalog IT. Noah did all of the cataloging down at the county museum and is well seasoned. And he's been with us over a period of 2 years now, but really, if you were to take all the hours, it works as a part-time. He ended up leaving to work with Mac for 6 months or what have you. So he's really been there for a year of 30 hours a week. In that time, he's digitized 5,135 records, which are catalog cards, object worksheets, and deeds of gifts. And then he's cataloged or inventoried 4,100 objects in the carriage house. Cataloging has involved recording at minimum the following information: the accession number, the object ID number, the donor information, marking, physical markings or taggings, physical description, photograph or scan. Every item is scanned or photographed, dimensions, condition, location, and valuation. So of the 3,000 items that he's valued so far, it's come in around $420,000. So we feel that there are probably 15,000 items that need to be cataloged within the museum, and ultimately that's going to take at least 2 years, I think, with Noah. Noah has, it's really complicated because physically he has to go locate every object, and then he has to search through the museum records for any information about the object, and cataloging the object or updating object entry into Catalog IT if it hasn't already been cataloged. He's done about 75% of the carriage house, and he has done 368 objects currently in storage, and most of the items in the archive room. This coming year, we'd like to finish the inventory of the archives room and start on the pole barn, or the mining and ranching building. I could go into the reasons why this is so important, but it's essential for the care and management of the collection. It improves the quality of the object interpretation and educational programs. Excuse me. It increases the efficiency when working with the collection. It provides an estimate of the value of the collection for insurance purposes. Identifies objects that are lost or stolen. We've had a lot of five-figure discounts going on over the years. Identifies objects in need of conservation or rehousing. We've also taken things that weren't really, for example, that's something that I changed when I first got there. I didn't want to be picky about donations, and a lot of people are coming to clean out their relatives' homes, so we have one shot at getting things. And in the past, the commission had to approve things before they were donated, and you missed the boat. And we've gotten some fantastic local things just by taking everything. And then so what we do with the stuff that doesn't really apply to us, we find another home for it. It makes the museum more competitive when applying for grants. But actually, and I can attest to this, when I came, gosh, it was probably 20 years ago when I came to the museum and I wanted to know what my family had donated, and I was told that there was no way that I could know what they had donated. Funny enough, I did stumble on the file that had all the ones from the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and 90s of all the donations. So those local families will know what was theirs, what they've donated. I will just tell you a quick story. I kept walking by this egg incubator down in the ranching and mining building. I'm like, I know that egg incubator. I was like, there must be thousands of them in Calaveras County, what have you. And then when I found that folder, I saw where my dad had donated that.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew growing up that was at the ranch. I guess really all of this to say is that we think that we've got approximately 50,000 items left. If I were to bring, I am looking for additional grants, but I would like to keep Noah working. And if I do 30 hours a week, essentially that comes to $55,000 for this next year. And I'd like to ask the city for that. If there's a way that we can finance it some other way, I'd love to do that, but I would love to keep him going. Because if I can keep him going for the next 2 years, then I feel like we'll finally have something that's a complete record of all the important things in the museum.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
We can't. It's public comment.
Of course. I should know better.
I was just,
It's so nice being on this side, though. I gotta tell you, on this side, asking for money, this is wonderful.
I would ask you to work with our city manager.
Yes.
So that we can get this on a future agenda.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Swing by more often.
Good night.
Please, thank you.
I thought that was a test, huh, Martin?
Yes.
Is there anyone online, Rose, for public comment? Okay, there's no one else present, so we will move on to the consent items. There are 4 consent items. Item A, approve draft minutes of June 3rd. B, receive and file monthly AP checks and treasury reports. C, adopt resolution number 25-32, consenting to a county resolution amending service charges imposed on improved real property within the incorporated area of the City of Angels for the use and/or ability to use the Calaveras County Rock Creek landfill during fiscal year 25-26. And finally, D, resolution 2537, approving change order number 3 in the amount of $5,000 for Augustine Planning Associates to temporarily provide partial administrative services support. So I'd like to pull item C off the consent agenda.
And I think, I'm so sorry, Rose, I think I have to pull A.
Yeah,
I think I
no,
told you
that's
the
fine.
wrong thing, but
That's
yeah.
fine.
Okay.
So we're pulling A and C. Anyone else? Any member of the public? Not there? Okay. So we're pulling
A and C.
A and C.
So we have B and D.
We have B and D.
I'll make a motion for B and D.
So second, any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
B Hill.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item A.
So on the minutes, I think I told you the wrong item.
The wrong area?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
10, and it's action item B, and there's a first, but there's not a second on that one, and I'm going to read it just again to make sure that I'm not.
I have it right here.
Okay, so, yeah, motion made by Mayor Shemente to select Councilmember Brolio as representative with Vice Mayor Sharada as alternative with City Engineer, City Planner to attend as well.
Yep, so there's no, okay,
Okay.
perfect, we'll
Right.
fix it.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So will you bring that back then in July?
Yeah.
We can just bring it back, not a problem.
Okay. And then moving on to item C, I wanted this item pulled because typically, consent agenda items are routine, and in some ways this is routine, but I wanted Caroline, who sat on the solid waste committee for a number of years, to kind of explain what this resolution is and why it can't be a routine. I'm assigning.
Well, but he's
All right.
on it currently.
I did, but we've only had one meeting. I've only,
no, so-
I think when you were on
I
it.
actually used to work in IWM.
Yeah.
This is to allow the tax to be added to the tax roll.
Right.
The fee to be
Right.
added to the tax roll.
And to allow, and
To allow, so
that's
it's to
what it said.
allow our residents access to be able to utilize all of the landfill, the
Landfill,
transfer
the
stations, the
transfer station.
landfill, and if we don't do this, then our residents will be excluded from that. That's all this means.
I just wanted to go on record, Sam, so that our community could understand why this is routine and why we do it. It's in order to support their ability to use our transfer stations. So,
You're trying to confuse 30% more people.
I know. So with that, I make a motion to approve 9C.
I have a question on that. The item talks about Rock Creek, and then when you look in the report, it lists all the different transfer stations. It's just so that the citizens of Angels can use the Rock Creek?
No, it's all.
And the
It's all.
transfer stations.
It's
It's
all.
all of it.
And then in the resolution, it doesn't stipulate whether the fees are going up, down, staying the
And
same.
because we don't set those fees, the supervisors set those
County does.
fees.
Martin left.
Martin and that crew set the fees, and so at the last meeting, they actually did not raise the fees.
They're
So,
going to be the same.
yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't clear in the resolution that the fees are staying the same.
Well, that's because it's up to we're just saying we want to be included in the decision that the supervisors make. We want to be
To be added on the tax roll.
yes.
I wonder how many citizens of Angels Camp live at Rock Creek?
You'd be
Oh,
surprised.
yeah.
Surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
The stats from it are pretty surprising.
Yes.
That's the one meeting we had that gave how many people went to
Uh-huh.
Avery, Rock Creek, the one in Copper. It's pretty mind-blowing
It's
how many
pretty
visits
mind-blowing.
are actually there. I didn't even really track it, and it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. The one meeting I've been to, yeah. So,
So I made a motion to approve 9C. Is there a second?
second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? Anyone online, Rose?
No.
Roll call?
B Hill.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items 10A.
No, we didn't do 9A.
We
We
are
did.
bringing it back.
We're
Bringing it back. With correct, bring it back
Yeah,
with corrections.
there was an error in the minutes.
Yeah.
Or I guess we could approve with corrections or whatever. but-
Yeah,
That's
we
okay.
could. I just don't know who the second.
No, yeah, let me just bring it back.
So, bring it back to.
Uh-huh.
All right, yeah, remember to abstain.
Oh,
Oh,
right. So we wouldn't have had it, well,
we have
It was-
four,
it was-
there's the
That's
three of us.
okay.
It was the three
Well,
of us, yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know if it was Isabel or
I don't know either.
I don't know
me,
either,
Yeah.
second.
because I wasn't there either.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna
We
abstain.
haven't been able to pass that item anyway.
Well, actually couldn't, because that's right, Isabel's not here, so it's got a hold anyway.
Yeah.
I forgot that you weren't there either.
Yeah. it was
I read that you weren't there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
moving on, I'm gonna use my gavel. Here we go. Moving on to 10A, consideration of no parking zones on Murphy's Grade Road and Gardner Lane. Is Aaron gonna make, Aaron's online?
No. Nobody's on the,
Okay, so I was approached, and you guys in your packet, I was approached by citizens who live on Gardner Lane. When there's any kind of activity at Bret Hart, the parking doesn't allow them to have good visibility to come out of Gardner and turn onto Murphy's Grade Road. So I asked Amy and Chris and Aaron to kind of look at this, and they came up with a proposal. So I don't know if you want to go to the slide that shows, Rosie,
Oh, sorry.
and you can see it like right here. And I think we have two options, the striping red on the Murphy's Grade, and Scott, chime in, you're here, and on Gardner. But it is, I think it is impactful, especially during any events where people are parking along the road where people coming out of Gardner cannot safely turn because of traffic.
On 49.
So, if they don't park for 30 feet, then somebody approaching that stop sign.
Is that an
in the
actual
corner-
crosswalk right there?
Yes, there is
Yes,
a
it is.
So
crosswalk
you
there.
can't, I mean, the state of California passed that new law,
There
is it
should be.
January 1st, but you can't park within 30 feet of the crosswalk anyway.
Right, right. So on both sides,
On
you're
both
right.
sides, so it just feels like,
Murphy's Grade should be no parking, I mean, it doesn't
Right.
have to be identified as no parking, but you can't block the road, if you're blocking Murphy's Grade Road,
Right.
you're impeding traffic, and vehicles can be towed and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
but is that an actual, so that's a crosswalk crossing Gardner, but is there one crossing Murphy's Grade Road right there?
Yes, there
Yeah.
is.
So
From the
that's
baseball
kind of-
field to there.
Yeah, that kind of takes care of those two corners for 30 feet. It's just you going the distance down Murphy's Grade
And
Road.
Scott, does that get wider after the 330 feet on Murphy's Grade Road?
As you go east,
Yeah.
There's
I don't
park.
think so, I think it's
That's what-
pretty narrow right there, where you can't park there because you're then blocking them.
But there are no sidewalks.
Correct.
There's
There is sidewalk.
sidewalk.
No, beyond the 330.
No, no.
Beyond it.
No.
So we're not doing anything beyond that, even though the road's not any wider there.
No, my recommendation would just be maybe, if you have to post signs, but paint the curbs red for 30 feet
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
whatever around the crosswalks,
yeah.
so that people know they can't park within 30 feet of that crosswalk.
But if we don't post no parking, then they can't be cited if they park, correct?
In a red.
Or in a red.
On Gardner, yeah, on a red, they can't park there, no. But on.
But does it have to be posted in order for you to cite them? Like when the curbs are red?
If
Or is
it's
it an
within,
automatic? That's what I'm asking. Is it an automatic
If
citation?
they're red, yes.
Okay.
If they're not red, then you're left to people trying to understand and think they're parking legally, probably.
Okay.
With no parking sign, if there's no parking signs, there's nothing pointed red, they see an unmarked curb, they think they can park there.
yes.
And it's just not,
They do,
it's just
yeah.
lack of understanding of the law or
Correct.
whatever. And
So in this scenario, then, both sides of Gardner Lane for 30 feet would be painted red then?
Yes.
Because people park on both sides on that intersection.
Yes.
So we're looking to paint both sides 30 feet, and Murphy's Grade. And I don't.
Is there sidewalk on the west side?
I don't think there is. Gardner, I don't think there is.
No, there isn't, but people park there.
You can
put no parking signs on that side if you need to.
Okay.
But there's a gravel turnout there where you're not parked on the road. You actually,
And that's probably not gonna block somebody's view if somebody's parked at that intersection, do you think, Alvin?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
When they're coming out, because really it's traffic coming down Murphy's Grade to the intersection that you wanna be able to see when you turn out.
I think if you just striped red where applicable, right, not in the gravel, 30 feet from the crosswalks, that would probably, which is already a law, would probably solve 90% of what you're trying to accomplish.
I would recommend though, if you're gonna mark Murphy's Grade, a portion red, you mark the whole sidewalk all the way up to where the sidewalk stops. Otherwise, people are gonna, again, see it's red up to here, it's not red here, so I'm gonna park here because it's not red.
That's fine, take it all the way on Murphy's Grade where it's there and 30
And then
feet.
30 feet.
30 feet within the crosswalk.
North onto Gardner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
So I think the city was gracious enough to extend that sidewalk to the ag farm when Brett Hart put it across the street. So that sidewalk ends at the driveway of the ag farm, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And on the west side of the street, there's enough room to park, or there's no parking, or what is
On the
that?
west side of Gardner?
On Murphy's
Murphy's
Grade.
Grade.
Murphy's Grade, yes, that's parking, that is
Like a
parking.
bump out.
That's a bump
I'm
out
sorry, that's the
for the
south side.
baseball field.
I mean, the west side, or to the left of the intersection, Gardner Lane. There's parking on both sides, or?
Over here?
That's all too narrow.
On
No,
Gardner,
on
with
Murphy's
the house,
Grade.
on the house side, there is gravel parking that could happen
Or
there.
on Murphy's Grade Road
Okay.
in front of the homes, you mean?
Yeah, right where the arrow is now.
No parking.
That's
I
all no
think- well,
parking
I
now
don't know, could
posted?
you,
It's, once again, it's too narrow there, so if they
Narrow.
park there, they're gonna be blocking Murphy's Grade Road.
pretty
So is
narrow.
that posted, no parking?
No.
So do we want to be consistent there as the other side, just?
I would, but then I don't know how far.
How far do you go? Do you go all the way to the,
Yeah.
do you go all the way to Right, you'd have to go all the way to Highway 4. Because,
Oh, wow.
Nobody parks there, like at graduation, no one
No.
parked there because you're
I
gonna be
think
blocking.
you're
and
traffic.
putting,
road.
Yeah.
exactly, and putting in the sidewalks on either side stopped people from parking on the high school side of Murphy's Grade Road.
Yeah.
It really slowed that down. So, yeah, I think you do
I
the,
would almost say you would probably be safe just painting Gardner.
I think you would probably too.
Because
not too
Murphy's
much?
Grade's a narrow enough road, you can't park there, you're
No.
blocking traffic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, your car is
Which
in.
I
the
will say
lane.
has happened.
It has.
We've gotten calls of vehicles, trucks having to go around
Right,
cars that are
right.
parked there or whatever, and it's unmarked, but then what are we gonna do? We gonna tow 10 cars,
Right.
that are lined up that are parked?
That could be an issue, trying to turn the trailer onto Gardner Lane where people park on that corner.
Okay, well,
So do you think, Scott, we should just go, if we don't strike the whole thing, you said it would create confusion. So what are you suggesting, on not do anything along Murphy's Grade?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue because the site, unless depending on what the plans are in the future for that sidewalk
Right.
going to the east is that ever going to continue? If it's not, I would say just go ahead and paint it red.
Right.
So, because if you paint portion of it, you're just gonna cause.
Right, it's
more-
all or nothing.
I agree with
Yeah,
you.
you're gonna cause more confusion.
Yeah.
And
So-
then paint Gardner on the east side, 30 feet
30
from the
feet.
crosswalk, and we're done.
yep.
So there you go, to paint as the picture dictates.
Yeah.
Because if not, where do you stop as you're going west on Murphy's? Where do you stop on either side of that road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and then if you're going up on the other side of Murphy's Grade, that is a bump out and there is parking allowed there. I make a motion to approve the striping as drawn.
I'll second.
Is there any other comments? Anyone present? Anyone online?
My only comment is I wish Public Works or staff, somebody was here to present this item to show us what their thought process was so that it wasn't a bunch of conjecture on our part
Right.
to decide whether this is right or wrong. So to have an item that wasn't presented properly is.
Right, is there a reason why Aaron wasn't here? Was he not notified, or did he,
He was,
an issue?
he's notified to come. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe there was an
Save a
issue.
little bit of money too. All right.
We have a
there's been
motion and a
second. Any other
Behill,
discussion?
Aye.
Sharada,
Aye.
Shemente,
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
This is like a book, I'm gonna put you guys to sleep. Okay, item 10B, introduce and waive the first reading by substitution of the title, hold a public hearing, and consider ordinance 546, and so set July 1st, 2025 for a second reading. Amending code sections include notification, enforcement of, and penalties for weed abatement and fire codes under the same procedures and penalties as all other code violations under the City of Angels Municipal Code. Proposed ordinance would also address the following: relocating multiple code sections related to fire prevention and fire safety and create a new chapter, 8.50, Fire Safety Regulations, to include all fire safety regulations, adding new definitions, house numbering requirements, fire hydrant requirements for new construction within the wildland-urban interface, and very high fire hazard severity zone, including fire sprinklers and related fire safety regulations. Consolidating code sections related to open burning and controlled debris burning. Amending Chapter 8.48 Fireworks to include a reference to existing requirements for an administrative consideration use permit for fireworks sales and stands. Creating a new Title 11 Roads and Driveways to consolidate and update the city's roads and driveway regulations, reference the city's adopted design standards, add a definition in reference to legacy streets, aka heritage roadways, and incorporate roadway and driveway provisions previously found in other code sections. Amending streets signage regulations in section 12.08.090 to cross-reference signage requirements in chapter 8.50 fire safety regulations for consistency. Repealing chapter 8.20 garbage collection rates as outdated. Amy.
Can you repeat that?
Just the middle.
Just like Amy's partner now.
You liked me, Amy. Go ahead.
Pretty clever how I got you to do the presentation though. Mr. Mayor, council members, that is basically what we are planning to do. We were detailed because we didn't want anybody to be confused about what we were doing. We're basically spelling things out and organizing them better so that if I were a developer and I came in and I wanted to know what my requirements were going to be for a new commercial development, I could look in the code and I would know. I wouldn't have to buy a California Fire Code. I wouldn't have to go shopping around trying to look everywhere. It'll all be in our code, and I think one of the big things is that we'll have a section 8.5, all of the fire safety regulations in one place. Currently, they're in approximately 6 different locations, and the only thing unique that's not in state law is our legacy streets, heritage roads, which we have defined in the code and basically left placeholders so that when the fire chief and fire marshal and I have a chance to go driving around on all of these listed heritage roadways and work with each neighborhood to figure out which remedy will work best for them, it'll already be codified in terms of that these exist and that there will be special provisions adopted for them. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You know, once again, I appreciated the work that you did and our city staff and looking at all of these codes and consolidating them and doing all of that. So I just trust the work that was done was the work that needed to be done. You know, the heritage roads thing is something that we don't want to go to the back burner.
Right.
You know, and hopefully, like you said, it's going to take work to catalog and then make some decisions about what we can do and things.
The cataloging is done. It's only for us to take that catalog and go out on the streets, make an initial assessment of what could, parking on just one side, not parking on the other. Maybe we need to acquire that little turnout space right there. Things like that that could improve the situation. Obviously, we can't resolve all of them. They were built for horse and buggies in some cases, but we can certainly improve flow during emergency situations. And pretty much everybody who worked on it is sitting over on the wall, in case you have any other questions.
Council?
No, there's just a couple notes that I had in here. One of them was under fiscal impact, I think under fire, and it was mostly about the establishment of predictable and consistent standards for fire hazards and fire prevention for the community is expected to expedite the permitting process in the city because time is money. This is expected to reduce overall project costs. The adoption of up-to-date consistent standards will assist city staff in expanding project reviews, thereby reducing staff time spent on project review. Bravo on that one. I love that. I had to note that because that one just made me so happy.
And developers will repeat that to me 100 times during any development review. Time is money.
Yeah.
So, Amy, knock on wood that we never have a disaster, but I was just curious because there's an assistant director of emergency services. Now, I know the role that our city manager plays. I know the role that the mayor plays. Who is the assistant? Is that somebody that is selected by the committee, or is there someone in line, right? Is that like the fire chief or police?
I believe that's actually defined in the definitions, is it not?
No, I didn't.
Because I'll be honest with you, the only change we
Maybe
made.
you mean the definitions?
Yeah, the only change we actually
I
made
don't
was to
probably
change the word
understand.
civil defense from 1958, the old duck and cover stuff. We just deleted that, and in its place, we added references to our multi-hazard safety codes and our emergency operations. So we didn't actually add or reorganize anything.
Okay,
We simply
okay.
updated.
So there is someone there, okay.
I believe there is. Off the top of my head, don't know who it is unless anybody over there does.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Hearing none, we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone online? Hearing none, we'll bring it back to council. So you'd like us to move this item forward to the next, okay,
To July 1st, yes,
to
please.
July 1st. Is there a motion to move this item to July 1st?
So moved.
Second. So a motion and a
Who's
second.
Oh, thank you.
Any other discussion? I get to read it again, son of a gun. I'm lucky. Hearing none, roll call.
Behill.
Aye.
Sharada.
Aye.
Shemente.
Aye.
Prolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item C, adopt 2025-26 fiscal year budget and capital improvement plan with resolution number 25-39. Michelle.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. We were just at this a little bit ago, but
Yeah, we were.
but I'm here to present the budget for the fiscal year 25-26. From our meeting that we had last week, our special meeting, some of the feedback I received was to do some cleanup in the header categories. We had like a header with a total and then the totals were repeated. So instead of, I removed the header and put the subcategory next to the item with more description. Cleaned that up. We also removed the COLA for the stipends for the council. The council had said that they didn't want to put a COLA in the budget, so that was reduced. We also, there was a question in the administration budget. Do you want to go to the department budgets? And that was for that transfer in, and when I looked at that, that was actually carryover from this year, and I don't need to put it into the budget because it's already encumbered in this year and it'll roll over, and I had it in there as a placeholder and should have removed it, but it was a wash. It was a revenue and an expense that washed out, so I just removed it out of the budget. It's for some projects and ongoing things that we have that are encumbered in this year and then transferred forward, so we don't need to show them or put those amounts in, but they will be encumbered and carried over. And then we are looking at, so one of the things we also talked about was with the water increases. So the letters actually were mailed last week that we talked about, talking about the rate increase that's going to take effect. We already have people calling, so they were received. I haven't checked my mailbox, but I'm
No,
thinking they
they're
were
in there.
received today. Yeah, they're in there. So we're already getting calls, which is good. And then it was the whole communication piece as we're moving forward with the new accounting software, where it's going to change everybody for online payments and set up and viewing bills, and we're going to have some downtime. We're talking about, like, as we're going through this transition, there'll be some grace periods for late fees and that sort of thing. We're going to, just kind of look at that month of July as we're going to be waiting things as the public is patient with us with this transition. But I'd heard council, talk about communication and a plan, and we talked about where we're going to post it, sending out another letter, putting it on the bill about this downtime, and then that they're going to have to change the platform, because the way you pay your bill online is going to change 100%. So doing some brainstorming with that on how we can communicate that, because it's really important to me. I came up with an idea. I know that we had a position for an administrative services specialist, which is in building and planning, and she is out on maternity leave. And we will, July 1, we keep the position budgeted for the full year, and we'll have some savings in there. So I went in, kind of calculated, okay, how much savings are we going to have, because she's actually not going to take a full paycheck. She's shared that she would just like to cover her share of cost of benefits. So we will have a savings in that budget. And so looking at that savings, I thought, well, if I were to bring in a temporary position, like maybe a college student or somebody who's home for summer, to help us with this transition, that I could have them do outreach, work that front desk, do outreach where we could call every customer, we could reach out to them, email them. She could be that point of contact, that she could sit down and walk these people through getting enrolled in this. Not only could we increase the number of bills that we don't have to mail, that they could now receive electronically, which would save us money in the long run for what we pay that third party to do the mailing. We would also maybe set up more online payments or different things like that. So I just thought it would be a good chance to do that outreach, to communicate with customers. It would also relieve some of that stress, because that administrative services position also was backed up during lunch hours at the front. So that would allow us to have more coverage up there. And then now that Casey, she's taking on some of Caitlin's duties with permits, helping, assisting Michael, and then also reprinting or looking up permits or different information. That kind of puts a little less stress on her, because somebody could be dealing with the customers that are coming in for water and wastewater. So I could bring somebody on 3 days a week, 24 hours for about 4 months. And so we thought, it's a wash in the budget. It's just adding a temporary position for 4 months. It wouldn't change the cost in the budget. I've kept it the same. It's a little over 500 hours, but it would allow us to do more with that outreach, and then as we transition, it would relieve some of that extra stress. So I'm just presenting that tonight. Unless anybody has any concerns about that, because it's a wash, it would be a same dollar amount, just increasing that FTE count a little bit. And then we could advertise on the website for a temporary position that we're hoping to hire the second week in July. No benefits, just strictly 24 hours, 4 months or so.
How long do you think it would take somebody to get caught up to speed, or get up to speed?
Well, the good news is we're all being trained on the new system, so
Okay.
we all have a learning curve there. So they're coming in at a good time.
Can I add, though, with the new software, it is a lot more user-friendly than Springbrook is, so it would be a quick transition.
And just, I know we're kind of deviating from your budget presentation, but are there comments I'm sure they're not positive, but I mean, do they understand what we're doing or?
Actually, the people we've heard from have been positive. They just
Okay.
wanted to, they were asking us questions like, oh, when did you have this? They weren't even aware of the public hearing.
Okay.
That was in February.
Okay.
And first time they're hearing about it. So where can I go to see this, see the packet or see the
Okay.
presentation? So
Okay.
Casey's been educating them and showing them where they're at on the website, how they can watch that. And we haven't heard anything negative yet, but today was the first day of those calls. So it tells me the letters went out. They received them.
Right.
So that communication has been made, but now it's just going forward with our transition with our system. So I just wanted to tell you it's more so a position change than what we, that we're proposing, that extra person for just that period of time for about 4 months. But I think it would be something we haven't done before, and I think it would be a great way to reach out to people and then also update information in the system. We did do a push on our bills where we had a QR code that took you to a Survey Monkey where they could update their information, ask if they want to receive text messages, emails. We can also push that updating information because we only received about 300 customers out of about almost 1,900 that updated their information. So it would be nice. So there's a lot of things we could accomplish with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so what I'm asking for you also tonight is we have a resolution to approve the budget that we presented with those minor changes that are in your packet tonight. And that would, the only piece like we had said before that we would bring back in August is to look at the CIP for both roads and water and wastewater. We put the 5-year water and wastewater plan that you've already looked at last year during when Steve presented it and also during the water and wastewater rate study. And so we'll be pulling out those key projects and then also adding a transportation piece when we meet with the new engineering firm. And going forward, we'll be able to put that presentation forward to you, and then we'll add those dollars to the budget on what we see, how we'll spend those. So that'll be a change you'll come see here in a few months. Any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate the work that you and your team did and the department heads did. I appreciate your work. Any questions from council?
Michelle, I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Every tax year, we have dedicated tax dollars that are supposed to go to road maintenance. And each year we spend that money, but we're not seeing the road maintenance. I applaud what we have going forward and what we're planning, but I would like some clarification on how much of those tax dollars, for example, from TOT, from other sources, are supposed to go dedicated to road maintenance. And then how have we spent those in the past? And are we changing what's an allowable expense going forward?
Correct.
One example I heard was that any vegetation cleared on the side of the road were put toward road maintenance.
That was a suggestion for some CARISA. So we do have 100,000 that were COVID dollars. It was called a CARISA grant that came through COVID. We have not been able to spend that. One idea was, could we use it for vegetation management on the roads, because it requires that we have to increase our FTE count by 1. And then we also, it's a temporary salary, so who could we bring in to, that would have the skills to do road maintenance? So there's been a lot of discussion around that. We did go ahead and budget to use those dollars. What we're hoping, instead of using it for vegetation management, is to bring in maybe somebody who's retired or recently retired or would like to come and do some supervision of road work and actually apply that to road maintenance. So what you had heard was an idea at the time, but we are not moving forward with that at this time.
So in addition to that, though, what normal dollars do we have every year?
Right, okay. So we do receive gas tax monies. We receive almost 100,000 every year. It's usually between 89 to like 90-something thousand a year. That we don't always spend 100% of that, and we do have a reserve of a few $100,000 left over in that for roads. We also have our SB1, it's part of RMRA, which we're going to present tonight, We have about $355,000 in that reserve account, which we're going to propose what we're going to do, if that's a few items from now, with that money for road maintenance. But that's over the years because we haven't always spent that, just on little projects. So we're having a more planned effort, and that's part of where we're going to be meeting with our new engineer to focus on those things for our CIP projects. And then we also receive TOT for roads. And that's about $150,000 a year. We do have a few $100,000 in reserve for that one because we don't spend 100% of that every year. And so we have budgeted this year $140,000 of those dollars. So that's roughly about what we bring in a year. And then, like I said, it's just been going to cover staff time for the road maintenance that they have been doing. But there hasn't been, since I've been here, which has been 3 years, any type of CIP plan for those roads, which is something that we're putting in place this year.
Okay, so if I understand that right, we actually do have a few $100,000. It could
We
be,
do.
I'm in my head, almost $700,000 or $800,000 in reserves for road maintenance.
Probably about, well, yeah, with the 355, correct, yeah. But we do have a plan.
But we're spending the 355
We are.
theoretically maybe tonight. So there's only like a couple $100,000, right? And that-
Correct.
And we only
And they're
bring in like
doing
$300,000
Yes.
a year-ish.
Correct. It's about around 300,000 a year-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. And so one of the nice pieces with going forward, and like I said, we'll bring the CIP in August, where there'll be a plan for roads based on that pavement management study that was done. But tonight I need to bring the project because I have to submit it to CalSmart, which is part of Caltrans, and as a project for next year, or else we can't spend the money. And so I worked with Aaron and Chris to put together what they suggested as a project to bring to you tonight. And then we'll present that once we receive the resolution, and if the council decides that they'd like to go forward with it, then that'll free up those dollars. We don't have to spend all of them, but at least it will free up what we have in reserves to use towards road maintenance.
Okay. Thank you.
And then in August, you'll come back and talk about what streets we're going to crack seal and prioritize that. Okay. So back to the budget. Any other questions on the budget?
No, I just had a comment again. I know I said at the last meeting, but I really like how you present all this information. It's really digestible for folks at home and for us. So thank you. You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Any other comments from the?
Good.
Your comments?
I'm going to throw something, Scott, and also because there's those reserves, and somebody helped me because I'm trying to step in the Wayback Machine a little bit too, on, like, we had the sinkhole above kind of the mortuary back there one year that opened up that we had to, I think, somebody came in and did that. So I know we carry some reserve because we've had a few sinkholes and different things that pop up. So that's why we do carry some reserve in there too. But I think we spent that. We can look into it more, but that's all.
Okay.
Well, at least it sounds like we're going to have a plan moving forward.
Yeah, no, exactly.
With
I
CIP
think
projects.
that's
So, and that, I think
important.
that's really a wonderful thing. Any other comments from council? Any comments from the public? Welcome. We're talking about the budget.
Yes.
It's fiscally conservative and balanced as we move forward. Yes, yes. Anybody online? Not hearing anyone online. Is there a motion to pass a resolution to adopt our budget?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Been a motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill,
Aye.
Sharado,
Aye.
Shemente,
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you up there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Moving on to
And
item,
appropriations.
which is always an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Item D, adoption of resolution number 25-36, establishing the fiscal year 25-26 scan appropriation limit for the City of Angels. Michelle.
Yes. So what I'm presenting for you is our GAN limit. We follow a formula that's based, presented to all cities and counties in the state of California. It's based off of population. There's a factor in there. You can see the formula under the discussion where the CPI income increased by 6.44% in the county. The population, it didn't increase by 0, but it's out 4 decimals, so it rounds to 0. There's a slight increase. And so we're able to every year increase our appropriations limit. So it basically looks at tax dollars and certain types of revenues. It's not all of our revenues, but certain revenues that apply to the GAN limit to make sure that most of them come through our sales tax, that you're not spending over that limit. It sets a limit for each city in spending. And so every year you're allowed to increase that based on various factors, and the calculation is presented before you, which increases our GAN limit from about 4.5 million to 4.785. And so when I look at our sales tax and the items that are affected, that apply to that GAN limit, we're about 400,000 under that limit. We did also reduce a lot of those things this year, so if I were to factor some of that back in there, we'd be about 200,000 or so. We're getting closer. Measure A does apply.
Measure A, that's my next question. It does apply.
Yeah, and that was always our concern, is where if it would push us over our GAN limit, but we're still under. Like I said, at mid-year we're going to relook at this, but this is all based off of the formula that you see there. We have our new GAN limit set. You present your budget, and then you look at those items that you're proposing in your budget, which is an estimate, just to make sure that you're not overspending.
And I know that when we talked about Measure A, I guess the fire department in Calaveras, when they do their calculation, they tend to put raising the GAN limit on as an initiative.
Yes.
So do you have a certain amount of time, Michelle? Go ahead.
Oh, no. So there are certain factors, like, so what they would do is they would ask, so for right now, I did factor in Measure A. I should take that back, that it doesn't affect our GAN limit yet, but I always like to measure it because they had a piece in Measure A that had said for, I believe it was 4 years, that we would not have to add that, and they give you a chance so that they allow for your population to grow and your GAN limit to increase.
But it will.
But it will, and so that's where that discussion is after we get out of that period of time, we may have to increase our GAN limit. And so really, I guess we're more like 900,000 if I take the Measure A out, but I'd like to keep it in there just to see where we're at and to understand that over the next, so we have 3 more years of growth, and as Measure A grows also, or sales tax were to grow, you can see how we're bumping up against it. It would be very close. So, and in the past, I believe when we approved the increase to TOT, there used to be a portion of it that we could withhold from it, but a lot of those now have expired. So. But we're okay. We're not. And then you would just have an election, or you would ask the voters that if they could extend that period of time and not include that into the GAN limit. And so that's something that may have to happen countywide, because that was a discussion whether it would fall under the county's GAN limit, which they have quite a bit of leeway, or would it be each individual district? And the way it reads is like in each individual district, but the fire department really wants to see in the county it fall under the county. So there was lots of discussion.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, in a few years.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? Hearing none. Any questions online? Is there a motion to approve the GAN resolution?
So moved.
Got a motion and a
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill?
Aye.
Sharada?
Aye.
Shemente?
Aye.
Brolia?
Aye.
Thank you.
And Michelle's going to stand right up there. Adoption of resolution number 25-35, listing the projects to be funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act for fiscal year 25-26. 2026.
Thank you. So this is the project I received from talking with Chris and with Aaron Brusatori of Lumos and Associates, our new city engineer. He's been our city engineer under Dewberry. Now we're changing firms, and as of July 1. So these will be our projects that they've identified. So they wanted to use it's part of the highway funds, RMRA, SB1 funds, and this is where I said we have to create a resolution, vote on like a project on what this would be used for, and then turn that all in by July 1 on the CalSmart website, so that then they approve the project and the use of the funds so we can spend them in the coming year. And so the focus was the roads we had listed. We detailed out that came from the pavement management study that we had done a few years ago. They want to focus on pavement repairs that target potholes, deep patch, cold patch area, remediation, and restriping. And then these are the roads that they chose that were requiring this, that they would start with, and that they felt that the monies, the $355,000, would be sufficient to cover and do repairs on those roads there. Any questions?
You're on.
I just have one question. So in this list of repairs, the Murphy's Grade Road, Highway 49, and Gardner Lane, we do have CIP scheduled for that area. Is this going to be done before that or after that or in conjunction with?
It would be in coordination with.
Okay, good. It would be, yeah, I wouldn't want to do it and then we're going to tear up the street.
Tear up the street. I agree.
Just needed to be said.
It's okay. You're correct. And that's nice because they will also be, Lumos and Associates are also our water and wastewater engineers, and so they'll be coordinating all projects.
Right. I mean, and then we have all this work coming, starting in the fall with 49, and so just making sure that's all coordinated as well.
Yeah, I support this as long as we in August see what else we're going to use and do. You know, especially, this is all going to be contracted out mainly then?
A lot of it would be, but also using the resources that we have, like our crack sealing machine and staff in-house. This is also where we thought we might be able to, and that's separate funding, that $100,000 of Carissa that we've been trying to spend for the last 4 years. Maybe we could bring somebody back who's retired or somebody who's looking for part-time work for a period of time to oversee a lot of these projects. And the staff, and meaning that we would be using staff in-house and then adding this extra count for a period of time. We have $100,000 to put towards that.
Cannot Carissa Fund only be used for like funding a position, or can it be used?
It's labor.
That's what I say. It is labor only, right? Okay,
that's where it's been difficult to spend, and it has to be labor specifically on roads.
Right.
Nothing else.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So and when the money runs out, we don't have money to fund the position after that. So that's where we're hoping to attract maybe somebody who's retired or looking for something, and so that's been the plan that was discussed, and we'll bring all this back when we present the full CIP.
Could some of these funds, is Amy still here?
She's hiding in the corner.
Oh, she's
coming around.
Could some of these funds be used once we start to do the garbage roads mitigation and purchase or whatever? So these funds could be due to upgrade those roads and serviceability?
Traffic impact mitigation fees?
No, not traffic, these funds.
These
the
would
funds
be
we're
the
talking
gas
about
tax
for road
or
maintenance.
RMRA. Could possibly be.
Could be, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? Okay. Anybody online, Rose? Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Rose?
Behill.
Aye.
Sharado.
Aye.
Shemente.
Aye.
Brolio.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Item 10F, authorize staff to issue a request for proposals for landscaping services for the Greenhorn Creek community. Pam?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, good evening, and council members. So, on June 5th, 2025, I met with the Greenhorn Creek Board of Directors. They unanimously voted to exercise the right to recommend termination of the professional services agreement between us, the City of Angels, and the California Landscape and Design Incorporated. The reason why was they were consistently underperforming. And they have given the vendor a chance to rectify the deficiencies, but it's continued. And so that led to the decision that they made. So on June 9th, I have written a correspondence to the owner informing him that the board of directors recommended and the city is upholding the decision to uphold that recommendation. And we were terminating the agreement starting from June 9th, and the 30-day notice will end on July 8th of 2025. So this termination leaves an opening for a landscaping service vendor. And therefore, this is what we are requesting. We're recommending for the RFP to be published on our public bid website. And so that the Greenhorn Creek can go ahead and find a vendor.
So I believe, I chair the LLD committee, so I believe I'll recuse myself as I do all items regarding LLD. Well, it feels odd because I should be able to answer any questions that people have.
I was going to say, you just flip out on the outside.
If anyone has any questions, I'll sit over there, otherwise I'll shut up.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around the relationship the city has with the LLD and what, have never seen the memorandum of understanding, and I'm not throwing stones. I mean, I'm just curious because the first thing that comes to mind when I read the request for proposals did talk about paying prevailing wage. And so I don't know, Will, whether or not that provision needs to be added or they're exempt from paying. I don't know. I mean, I know it feels like we're collecting money and we just are the collection point and then we pay bills. I'm not sure I think it's a great relationship. I'm not asking, I just need clarification on it.
You know, I have not looked at that issue because the past contract didn't address it. So, Scott, do you have an answer to that? Is that
I do.
Okay.
Does the Greenhorn representative want to get up and speak?
Well, and he's not voting, it's just information.
Right. Yeah. Okay, because yes, you're, yes.
Okay. So when Greenhorn Creek was developed, the development agreement mandated that the LLD is formed to handle certain issues. At the time was regarding roads, wetlands, sidewalks, street lighting, landscaping throughout the community. And the city was appointed as the financing mechanism for that, for the LLD.
Collection.
And so everything has to go through the city, but it's the cost to run the program are all borne by the Greenhorn Creek residents. Last year, each house was assessed $650 and each lot was assessed $97. Greenhorn Creek itself the county carries 29 units. Worldmark Trend West carries a whole bunch of units. They're part of the thing. So the entire community basically provides the funds, but the city is the funding mechanism. The city writes the checks, the city enters into contracts, and that's really basically the city has to ensure that we do an engineer's report every year that gives us a scope of work, and then provide just the financing and a little bit of oversight, make sure we're not doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
They assess themselves and raise their own rates and.
Right. Well, they
Yes.
They have a vote, a formal vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we get a small administrative fee for
I think it's about $5,000.
Either way, I think there's a percentage or whatever, yeah, I mean, it's all, yeah.
Right, and the engineer determines,
For this, right?
Yeah.
and the engineer sets the rates, and it's, in the past couple of years, it's not what it could be, it's at 650, because I guess there's an inflation factor that could be applied to so I guess, I don't know, I just wonder legally what if our obligation is only to be the bank and we write checks, by writing that check, are we assuming, do we assume any risk by doing that? By just writing a check?
I could look at that, Mr. Mayor. I couldn't give you a comprehensive answer right now.
But it feels like we haven't been doing it in the past either.
Well, no, there
I can
was,
see
a few years back, there was a significant lawsuit where the city and the LOD were sued by some of the homeowners. And I think it was around $160,000 legal bill. And that was, the owners are still paying that back. I think the city loaned it. Or some, I can't remember how it was financed exactly, but the city is not paying any of that. The homeowners have to eat that whole bill.
It's been paid back.
Yeah, I thought that was paid back a couple of years, I thought that was closed out while you were.
Years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
so-
in the hiatus.
Yeah,
I think that was, I think we're done, right? Because there was actually a small little bit left or something, and we had to kick.
Oh, yeah, that's right, there was like an overage that was, we actually
That's
was
different.
carried.
Or was that a different?
Yeah,
I'm- or-
that's the bond that the city had for Green
Yeah, I
Farm.
mean, this
That's
has
what it
been
was.
going on for a long time.
Right.
And from
Right.
the
Yeah.
LOD committee's perspective, the city would not have liability. LOD pays for
Yeah.
everything.
Right.
So when we put out an RFP for something like this, and we don't, are we choosing the landscape company, or are you guys choosing the
No,
landscape?
so the RFP, the city is kind enough to let us use the portal.
Gotcha.
To get the word out that we have a contract to bid. We don't have to do that. We can, go on Craigslist or something and do it, but having this portal makes it a lot more beneficial for us. And so, because we're using the portal, we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. We're consistent with the other RFPs that the city would issue. But ultimately, the LOD committee will make the decision as to who to hire, but then the city has to approve it, because the city has to sign a contract.
Right, and then it gets run through us,
Right,
and
then it gets
I think
run
you guys, I think Joe Oliveira was
done
part of it at
before.
one point, and they come and say we support this.
Right.
and yeah.
Contract, and we
Right,
pay it.
and what's exciting for the LOD is we finally have a committee that is proactive,
No.
and that's
You're saying
popular,
that I don't
and
know.
that's doing the job. In the past, it's been a lot of big things, but right now, we're in a really good place.
Good.
Okay.
So you're asking us to approve the RFP?
Yep.
Yeah, just
Okay.
to get listed on the portal.
I make a motion,
Yeah, throw it to
If
public.
you want public comment first.
sure. I look out there, sure.
I mean, I don't know, someone might have popped online.
Yeah,
Sure, okay, thank you. Any public comment from anyone present? Anyone online?
now it's all
You
you.
guys remind me of kids in my classroom. I make a motion to approve the authorization to advertise requests for proposals for landscape services for Norton Creek Landscaping and Lighting District with just a clarification regarding prevailing wage, whether or not. And I just am curious because we're signing a contract. And maybe there's some exemption that's applied.
But we're not signing a contract tonight.
No, but I know, but it's gotta be.
So before they choose
Right.
that, you want clarity on
Well,
that.
I think it needs to be put in the RFP if they have to pay
Oh.
prevailing wage, because then they have to get
Oh.
registered with the state as a
Oh, gotcha.
contractor,
Okay.
which they may already be. So I don't know. I mean, that's why not having read the MOU,
But I don't think that falls back on us though, again. It's them putting out the RFP, right?
No, we're putting up,
We're just,
but we're signing the contract. I go both ways with this. I don't know. I mean, if we're just collecting money and signing checks,
The city is the funding mechanism. It's not
to
public
my knowledge, we're
funds.
just a funding mechanism.
It's not public funds.
Oh, it's not public funds.
I don't
That could be
believe.
the answer.
Yeah, I don't,
because they're tax dollar generated?
No, they're not even,
It's born the
They assess
community.
the
themselves.
community
Assess-
assess themselves and they
assess
send us,
ourselves.
they give us the money.
And it's only, we can only
Okay,
use that scope.
I'm fine, I'm not against,
No, I know you're not,
I'm not against it, I'm just trying to make sure that what we do is the right thing, and if there's some explanation that says that, I've been beating my head around this trying to think, and,
One reason is this, I don't think this technically had to come before the council. It's something that we could have done ministerially, I think.
and then all
it is
we have to do is
confusing.
approve the contract?
Yes, that's all I've ever remembered doing is
That's all we've ever
approving
done
the
in the
contract.
past.
I don't remember.
But I don't know what the term, we've never terminated well, at least from when I've been on here. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
we have.
Have we once?
Terminate every landscape we've ever had. Well, it'd still be there.
The last one was terminated.
That's right, it was.
See,
Why did you say that? Yeah.
I keep thinking this
Okay.
is like a homeowners association doing a road maintenance fund, where they assess themselves the ability to do it, and that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
It's analogous to that. Yeah, I think that's what it's
But they
analogous
can't
to.
form a homeowners association, so they formed an LLD.
Right,
So-
in order to cover that. I think that's the answer. And if that's the answer, then we're good. So I make a motion to advertise and strike my comment regarding.
I'll second.
Okay,
I will, but I will still confirm before it comes before you again.
okay,
on the
for the
issue.
contract. Just been a motion and a second. Any public comment? Rose, anybody online? No public comment
No
on this
public
item?
comments.
Okay. Roll call?
So B. Hill's recusing himself, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sharado?
Aye.
Shemente?
Aye.
Brilliant.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's gotta be what it's like, it's like they're forming a road association.
Yeah.
It is like poker flat
Yeah.
homeowners
Yeah.
association.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
It
And they,
just-
and they pull their money to
That's
keep
what
their
it is.
roads, you know.
It's a structured
clean.
different.
Right.
Instead of them holding the money, we hold the money.
Yeah.
Why that was set up that way, I don't know.
Well, it's the only way that we could, yeah.
LLD.
Because they couldn't do a homeowners association.
Right, they can't do a homeowners
That
association.
sailed,
Okay.
that ship has
Okay.
sailed.
So we're gonna move on to informational items.
No.
Item 11,
There are none.
no informational items. Moving on to item 12A, receive and administrative report.
Thank you. Just wanted to inform the council that I attended the following meetings. The Highway 4 systems, the COG meeting and the CTA meeting for the quarterly presentation. The Greenhorn Creek LLD board meeting. I met with the county administrator regarding the animal services agreement as well as the tax sharing agreement, which we're going to do in the future. I met with the Calaveras Visitors Bureau for their board meeting. And last but not the least, I also attended the abandoned vehicles meeting.
You did? Okay.
Yes, so I've been attending that consistently. So a couple of updates. So finance staff and the city clerk have been busy with the financial system migration from Springbrook to AccuFund. We're getting closer now to that day. The system will bring efficiencies and uphold the city's accounting system controls. And staff can't wait, and we are all excited to go live. So thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Rose, and your team for your efforts on that one. So city planner Augustine, the city engineer, and I have begun the process of composing the city's package for the August 14th San Diego meeting for the CTC. That has to do with the Foundry Lane decertification process. So this package would include letters of support from key stakeholders in the local and county level. So right now we're working on that. We're also going to reach out to state and federal level key stakeholders. And so far the support has been awesome. So we're going to continue to tread on so that we have an awesome package to present in August. And then the city attorney's office and I have been busy working together on the city council handbook and the personnel handbook. We'll also be working together on the city's records retention policy. So in conjunction to this work, the city attorney's office and I will be revisiting the municipal code to ensure that the policies that we're formulating now and the ordinances that are in place right now are uniform. So if there's any ordinance changes, we are going to be presenting that to the council in the near future. In regard to No King's Day, the No King's Day protest on Saturday, in Angels Camp was very peaceful. We're very thankful for that one. So per Chief Ellis, about 100 to 200 people showed up with the crowd building up around noon and the protest wrapping up around 4 p.m. So we thank everyone for the peaceful protest. So we're very thankful about that one. And last but not the least, the city will be working with ACPA and DAC in analyzing the city's draft business outreach survey and interview questionnaire. So this is to ensure that the city is successfully capturing the pulse of the business community and at the same time successfully collecting the qualitative and quantitative data so that we can accomplish what we need to do through those surveys. And that is it.
Thank you. Council report. Scott?
No report.
Caroline?
Yeah, I can't find my notes on the COG. I don't know what happened to them, but attended the COG meeting. We did approve our annual budget at that meeting for 25-26. And we also approved the overall work program for 25-26, which is a big deal. It's big. You can't get anything done without that. We then moved on to the Calaveras Transit meeting, and we created an ad hoc committee for the design of the new transportation building, which I'll be sitting on.
Nice.
It's temporary, but yeah, that's moving along nicely. We went and we're narrowing all the choices down to 3 to bring back to the whole council. So that was, and then we approved the budget for Calaveras Transit as well. What?
The tour.
The tour?
Utica.
Oh, yeah, and then, so that's for those 2 items. And then, yes, I did attend the Utica tour with Senator Padilla and Senator Schiff's office personnel on it was the water folks came, and we got to talk to them a lot about, it was mostly around forest mitigation and preservation of our water conveyance system. We invited CCWD, UPUD, and CPA on the tours, and so they all came and gave their presentations, and it was well attended. So they got a lot of notes to take back, and we got a lot of requests from them. And also, they said, go ahead. I don't know if you had time to follow up on some FEMA money that's been stuck from like 2018. So they said they'd try to help us get that unstuck. So that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alvin?
Just a quick shout out to ACPA, and Martin already left, but I went to attend the first farmer's market of the season real quick and grabbed some tomatoes.
Yep, I saw you there.
Yep.
I did not grab tomatoes, I grabbed garlic.
In and out and made a nice dinner, and then I also attended the Utica Budget Committee this afternoon with Tom. As of this moment, me and Tom recommended to fund the full 407. Joel is within budget. We are definitely in a water year 1 this year, so that helps.
Yeah, and then tomorrow I have a FERC meeting, and the FERC application's very close to getting submitted. It's going to be submitted. I think our deadline is, for us, we've made our own deadline, but July 7th, I believe, is when he wants to have it off. So.
Yeah. So it was a pretty quick meeting. We just had a few things to go over and tweak a few things, but that was it.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
I want to begin by thanking Chief Ellis, if he's still here, for the memo and being proactive. I mean, who knew what that event could turn out to be, but it turned out well, and everyone has a right to express their opinion, but it was done peacefully, and I appreciated your approach to that. I also want to thank Chief Roba for Firewise. That's catching
fire.
It's
on fire.
It's going well, and I appreciate you meeting with those folks and spearheading that.
I will say Chief was up here with me on Saturday supporting me.
Oh, he was going to get his fire hose out. I did. I had the pleasure of going to LAFCO and then to COG with Caroline. Caroline made a report for COG. LAFCO, they sent out the RFP to replace John. John is, I guess, going to retire. I did ask the question, what if they can't find a replacement for John, but I don't know where that's going. It's a short timeline. They're going to interview sometime in July and hopefully have someone on board with the transition. And I think that's it for, I can't remember. Anything else? So we'll move on to correspondence. We have,
This- the
go
letter
ahead.
that you received.
Right,
from COG regarding the transportation.
Yeah, I
project.
thought that was very informative and wanted to share it with council members. We have calendar.
Okay, so coming up, I did add in all the ribbon cuttings that were mentioned at the last meeting. So everything in red is new. Okay, let me see it. So here's June to end the month, and then July starts the new month. So Shorty's on the 2nd. There's your mixer coming up on the 23rd in July. I did add the farmer's market as well. I do have one correction. The planning commission meeting actually starts at 5 o'clock, so my new calendar has the correction, but this one does not. If there's anything else too that you would like for me to add, let me know. I did send out to you earlier today that there is another special meeting on Thursday for UWPA.
Right, because
Yes.
she forgot to agendize it
Yeah,
correctly,
so,
so.
those aren't on here, but I did send it to you earlier.
Oh, but that's right, we have a special meeting
Thursday.
tomorrow, which should have been a
Day
regular
after.
meeting. But then the day after we do the
Yes.
special meeting.
Yes.
so-
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Lots
and
of
that's it. So if there's anything you want me to add on, just let me know.
Moving on to anyone wants to add? Hearing none. Moving on to future agenda items. Scott?
Nothing for me.
Caroline?
Nothing for me.
Alvin?
I do, kind of. The park is absolutely wonderful and beautiful. There are a few things that if I would love to just talk about real quick. I believe we hit on benches in the kiddie play area, correct? Were we gonna get, like, in the actual playground area, were we gonna look at getting benches in there, or?
We were not because of the safety issue. We had that certified by a playground specialist.
That's what it was, or on the, okay.
Yeah, we put them on the outside.
Yeah, they're on the outside.
They are on the outside there,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
that's what I thought. And then the only other one that I just, to bring up is the water station.
Yeah, the hydration
The
station.
Hydration station.
Yes.
Like I hopped online, like Global Industries, they had a hydration
I
station.
know, but we were gonna get some funding
We
through.
were. Is anybody still attending those IRW?
Well, Chris O'Flynn might be.
Right,
No one from council has been on those meetings for like 4 years.
right. But they were like $1,200 for the cheapy water filtration system.
Right.
We still have money, I believe, in,
We do still have some money from the Boyer budget, and they just submitted their last invoice, and so any money's left over, that will make that one.
But because it's all plumbed, right, for the
Yes,
hydration station,
it's all
so
plumbed.
it's just a matter of getting them there.
right.
So,
That's the only big, and all I've seen is wonderful reviews. There's things out there that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now I've been there and I do. So there's wonderful things, and I'm not trying.
Call them.
But if we could
We need water.
fit that last water station thing in, I think that would like button it up pretty nicely.
what is that
So,
called? IMW?
IRWMA.
IRWMA. Okay, so that's Carolyn Lott.
Uh-huh. And that was supposed to be Chris or the city administrator.
Yeah,
So
so
actually, I did contact Carolyn Lott.
Okay, so
I'm
she's
scheduled.
the contact on the hydration stations from that
And
group.
we put in a grant application, it was supposed to come through, and I will need to.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. And I'm just, as long as we're working on it, I'm happy. And just if not, I think we have 250,000 left in
ARPA.
ARPA. I would be willing to. Do we need 2 water stations down there? How many was?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would be willing to pull the money. Look at pulling the money out of there. Is all I'm saying. Look at funding that if it doesn't pan out and get that shut down. So that's all. That's my future agenda.
Quit hanging on the frogs, they've already broken them.
The frogs on
They've
Mark
already
Twain.
broken a frog already.
I find them to be swing toys.
Oh. Yeah.
Let's just make sure the hydration stations are ADA compliant
The only,
Yes.
yeah. The ones I looked at were.
and are sturdy.
One goes on the new bathrooms,
Okay,
wheelchair level, and the other one goes over by the kitchen.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
I just have a question, and I don't know if Michael is an appropriate person to answer this question or not. You probably aren't, but I got at the market the other day, there was a fire on Mark Twain and Bush. And what I heard was that you guys did an outstanding job, and I talked with Billy about that. But I guess there was an abundance of weeds on Bush Street. And I think what we tell people is use Max iWorks or to report. And I'm just wondering, and then I thought to myself, because I think this lady was told that, but what if they don't have a computer? I mean, are there other ways for them to make those reports? And I know fire, when they go out, if there's something going on, I know you guys file a report or whatever, but Michael?
I spoke with Bill and I gave him.
No, yes, this is.
I spoke with Bill and I gave him a big, thick stack of my cards with my cell phone
Okay,
number on it.
perfect.
And he's gonna keep them in the truck and he's gonna pass them out to all people on duty. And we'll just work from there. I'm
Okay.
working with Chris from Public Works. There's some city stuff that we need to take care of. And then I'm still working, I wrote 3 more violations today for weeds and yards.
Okay.
So I've been writing 2 or 3 a day, and we've sent out close to 200 so far, and I still have 52 stragglers as of this morning.
And I'm just, thank you.
Okay.
And it's probably, it's not a future agenda item unless we want to talk about how do we make our services more available to our city citizens. I mean, it's the same question I asked you about the lease, the cattle lease. If it's buried in the webpage someplace, if there's not quick links on our homepage, I don't know how far people dig or what their ability to dig, but we might just want to. And I don't think we need to talk about it, but just an awareness, Pam and staff, about the availability of people who want to make a report. I don't want barriers.
We don't turn them away.
Yeah, I know you guys don't. If somebody knocks on your door,
Yeah.
I know that.
We have paper forms at the office, so if somebody
Okay.
was to walk in and say,
Okay, good.
we always refer them to the website.
Okay.
But if they say, I'm not tech
Good.
savvy, Casey will
Good.
let them fill out the
Good.
paper form and she'll
Good.
upload it to the
Good.
website for them, or if they call,
Good.
same thing. If
Good.
they,
Good.
we just always recommend they go to the website, but.
And then for an official future agenda items, we had a list of items that we were going to try to get through, right? And we haven't had a special study session to do goals and all that. Are we working through that list and we'll start seeing some of those items? I know roads was an issue, but now roads is going to come in August, so we are working through some of those items. Okay. Okay, good. Any other comments?
Let me add a comment.
Go ahead.
So staff has what you call a SAIL, which is the scheduled agenda item list. And so I am going to go ahead and send that to the council on a weekly basis so that they're aware that there's movement. So a good amount of that list actually that has been listed as to be TBDs or date uncertain ones have already appeared on the council list and new ones had come in. So each time that we have a meeting and there's a future agenda list, it adds to that list, that sale.
Okay.
So I'll be going ahead to share that with the council, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else from staff or council? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
You're going back into closed session?
And we're going to go back into closed session.
Yes.
We're not
Just a
adjourning.
reminder, Thursday is a holiday. So-
Thursday's a holiday?
19th.
Yeah.
Juneteenth.
What is it?
Juneteenth.
It's the new holiday.
Come on, old timer.
Oh, Juneteenth. Oh, the 19th, I see. Okay, so we're going to adjourn back into closed session and then come back into open.